Welcome to the No Huddle. It's ring season, boys and girls. I'm Tally Carr. Here's what we have today for you. Championships, playoffs, players of the year, coaches of the year, eliminations, and consternation. But let's start with the freshy fresh. The NCAA Division II playoff brackets are out, and my gut for the last month, it's getting bigger, but it also said we would get 2 HBCUs in the Super Region 2 field. Don't ever listen to my gut, because we only got one. Bowie State, as a number 4 seed, will host West Alabama on Saturday. This is the second year in a row that Bowie has made it and hosted a game as well. How did Bowie get here? No surprise that they were able to handle Fayetteville State this past Saturday in the CIAA championship game, but it's how they handled them that was a little bit of a surprise. Well, our Stephen J. Gaither was on the field, in the press box, in the locker room. He was all over Salem, Virginia, and took it all in.
What's up, everybody? It's SJG, and we are in Salem, Virginia. As you can see, things are wrapping up behind me. The CIAA championship game, Bowie State, Fayetteville State. This was a matchup of the 2 teams who had lost the last 3 championship games, and one of them was going home a winner.
Fayetteville State made 2 crucial mistakes early. First, Brandon Saw-Smith fumbled the ball on the opening kickoff. And perhaps even worse, somebody messed around and stole Amir Hall's towel. He was not happy, and Fayetteville State paid the rest of the way. A couple of plays later, the CIAA passing touchdown king takes it in with his legs as Amir Hall puts Bowie State up 7-0. Fayetteville State couldn't get out of its way. Colin Anderson fumbles the ball, and they give it back to Amir Hall, who is still mad because he does not have his towel. Hall does it all by himself, and he is good for 6 from 6, and Bowie State is up 14-0 late in the first quarter. Fayetteville State would finally get on the scoreboard in the second quarter with a field goal, but Hall was not having any of that. He goes 80 yards coast to coast and puts Bowie State up 21-3 going into halftime. Hall makes history again in the second half, passing Earl Air Harvey of North Carolina Central for the most passing yards in the 106-year history of the CIAA. BSU would add a field goal by Gene Carson, and they were up 24-3 at this point. Bowie State looking to put the proverbial nail in the coffin, and this pretty much does it as Hall finds Darryl Jasper for a 13-yard touchdown pass. The PAT was no good, but Bowie State was up 30-3 at this point. FSU inserts Xavier Bullock at quarterback, and he finds Brandon Person Boyd for a 6-yard score to cut the lead to 30-10. But that was as close as it would get for Fayetteville State, and Bowie State, for the first time in its history, is the CIAA champion.
How I feeling, man? Waited 2 years for this moment. I told them to put the ball in my hand. I'm gonna make a play for these guys and this coaching staff. I just put the rock in my hand. I'm gonna make it happen. And I made it happen today. We made it happen today. Straight up, man. I love this team. I love this coach. I love this university.
Virginia Union had a resume that was playoff worthy in some eyes, but not all. They had one last shot to impress voters last Thursday against Johnson C. Smith, and they left it all, and then some, on the table.
Virginia Union coming into Charlotte to face Johnson C. Smith in a rescheduled Hurricane Florence game and a playoff resume booster for the Panthers. So here's the playoff breakdown for Union. The top 7 teams make the D2 playoff field. The Panthers currently sit at number 9 with 2 losses. Number 7 Albany State has 3 losses and the SIAC championship game to play. Number 8 Wingate has 3 losses and a home game. And number 10 Fayetteville State can get in by winning the CIAA championship. So Union needs some help. But also, they just need to come on in here and beat up on Johnson C. Smith. And that Panther train pulled into the station at Irwin Belk Field, and it was ugly from the jump. Darius Taylor hits Levante Kelly, who slides both feet inbounds on the 29-yard score, 7-0 Union. Then Sterling Hammond tips this one to himself for the pick. You can't see the whole jog into the end zone, but he scored it, make it 14-0. The Panthers really opened things up before the half. Oluzware dives in for his second score to give Union a 30-3 lead. Then Sterling Hammond sets off the second half with his second score on this 12-yard fumble recovery. Tobias Taylor had himself a day getting it up out of the mud, literally on a soggy night in Charlotte. Here he shows off the bunnies and hurdles a whole grown man. Early play of the week nominee for me, Tobias Taylor finishes the day with 131 yards on the ground. This play leads to a 10-yard score from Rodney McKay, 47-6, Union showing out for the playoff committee. A punt block sets up the other half of Virginia Union's Taylor game. Quarterback Darius Taylor hits Jareen Birch for a 15-yard score. Oluzware informs me that it's over, 60-6 Union, and even with the official mollywop of Smith, Albany State losing to Miles and Fayetteville State losing to Bowie, Wingate's home win against Tusculum proved to be enough to secure them the 7th seed in the D2 playoffs, with the Panthers left on the outside of the bracket.
Over in the SIAC, Albany State virtually assured of a spot in the playoffs if they could just handle the resurgent Golden Bears of Miles College. Now, Miles was at home, but this was the same Miles that started 0-5. But boy, they were on a hot winning streak and on a mission. SIAC Championship, Miles College, Albany State, baby. Justin Hardy put some RESPECT on his name. He was preseason Offensive Player of the Year. He is in the end zone. 7-zip Miles. Albany coming right back. Callias Williams in the end zone. A 7-7 ball game. Second quarter. Who dat? Justin Hardy. But Albany State staying close and a pretty good first half. Trailing 17-14 at this point. It was a 20-17 game in favor of Miles at the break. Second half, all Miles. Daniel Smith, laser to DeAndre Fagan. And then right back, deja vu. DeAndre Fagan again. Miles hit him with 1, 2, 3, 4 scores in a row. Justin Hardy again. At this point, the Golden Bears up 43-17. Yep, the team that started 0-5. They are your SIAC champions. They beat Albany State 50-23. In the MEAC, this was the final week to separate the contenders and the pretenders. Chop, 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 chop. Now, man, we had a lot of people at the door. A lot of people wanted to get into the VIP, but there wasn't enough room. Our Wally Pitt has guarded a door or 2 or 3 in his day. I've seen the pictures. It's for real. So he's about to tell us who survived the bouncer of early November.
North Carolina Central and Bethune-Cookman facing off in Florida on a Thursday night. Both teams looking to upset the MEAC championship apple cart in their rivalry games next week, but first they had to see each other. Central up 9-2 early. The Eagles force a fumble, get the ball back, and Isaiah Totten breaks free for a 37-yard touchdown. Eagles up 16-2. The ensuing kickoff consists of Jimmy Robinson, 100 yards and 6 points. He takes the kickoff return all the way back, making the score 16-8. And Jimmy Robinson got a little taste of the end zone and was hungry for more. This time it's a 56-yard touchdown run, and the Wildcats are back within one, 16-15. Late in the fourth quarter, Nael Ramadan gives the Eagles some breathing room. He scores from 15 yards out, 22-15 NCCU. Now we all remember Bethune-Cookman's Hail Mary that cost Central a shot at the MEAC title last year, and with under a minute left to play, NCCU gets a little deja vu. David Israel finds Kevon Mitchell for the 19-yard score. That and the extra point ties it up, and yes folks, we are headed to overtime in Daytona. The Eagles looking to tie it up with a field goal in the second overtime, but the Wildcats get a paw on the pigskin for the block, and Bethune-Cookman gets the 28-25 win. But both teams still looking forward to spoiling their rivals' chances at a trip to Atlanta to rep the MEAC in the Celebration Bowl. North Carolina A&T needs FAMU to lose to Bethune-Cookman in the Florida Classic to even have a chance at the aforementioned Celebration Bowl, but they need to take care of Savannah State first. And the Aggies jumped out to a 21-0 lead and never looked back. The Aggies got it done on the ground as Khalil Carter, Markel Cartwright, and Jameis Martin all score rushing touchdowns, with Carter leading the way with 101 yards, setting A&T up for an ever-important trip to Durham next week for the Aggie-Eagle Classic. Florida A&M is firmly in control of their own destiny, and like Al Davis said, just win, baby. That's all FAMU needs to do after a surprise loss to Howard. But this week, they had a non-conference game against a conference opponent. I know, look, just blame Hampton. But even though it doesn't count in the conference standings, didn't nobody tell South Carolina State. They came out here looking to chop the head off the rattlesnake. Farika Greer gets an 18-yard touchdown. Then Tyrese Nick scores from 5 yards out. After a field goal, it's 17-0 Bulldogs early. Deshaun Smith stops the bleeding a bit with this 15-yard run. It's probably more like 50 after he reverses, then crosses the whole field before hitting pay dirt. Tyrese Nick gets his second rushing touchdown of the half before FAMU can respond with this Ricky Henryless 3-yard score. It's 24-14 South Carolina State at the half. The Rattlers make a game out of it in the third quarter. Deshaun "He Gone" Smith gets his second rushing touchdown after he makes one cut and takes it 47 yards to the end zone. FAMU down 3 points, 24-21, but South Carolina State wastes no time in quieting the Bragg Memorial crowd. Tayshaun Baines dips up out of here and takes the kick return 88 yards for a touchdown. Then Tyrese Nick Supermans over the pylon for another Bulldog score. And by the time Jarris Jenkins punches this one in from 2 yards out, Rattler fans were all in there "this don't count as a conference game" feelings as South Carolina State gets the 44-21 win and sends FAMU into the Florida Classic with a 2-game losing streak and a slightly bruised ego. Howard still with a puncher's chance at a Celebration Bowl appearance, but they got to get past the Spartans of Norfolk State first. Kalen Newton finds who else? Jaquez Ezzard for a 39-yard touchdown. Norfolk counters with a 15-yard score from Juwan Carter to Cameron Brent. That ties it up at 10 apiece. Seconds before halftime, Juwan Carter tosses another one, DJ Khaled style, to Isaiah Winstead for 16 yards and a score. It's 16-10, Norfolk at the half. Kalen Newton gets the Bison back on the stampede with this 11-yard touchdown and puts them up 17-16 in the third. The Spartans get 2 field goals before Jawan Carter finishes off his hat trick, and the Bison Celebration Bowl hopes in one fell swoop with a 37-yard touchdown to Marcus Taylor, and Norfolk State beats Howard 29-17, ending Howard's shot at a title and further solidifies the notion that this year in the MEAC, the only thing predictable is that won't nothing be predictable.
In the SWAC, all paths lead to the usual suspects. Grambling and Southern will decide the West in the Bayou Classic. Alcorn controls its own destiny in the East, but it's not a shoo-in. Saturday's game between Jackson State and Alabama State in Montgomery, that was going to decide who remains on the chessboard to make a move against the Braves. Grambling State at Alabama A&M. Pick 6 is the theme of the day. Graham fam excited about Joseph McWilliams jumping the route, taking it to the house. 20-yard score, Tigers up 10-7. Third quarter, Devanir Martin says, "Let me get a piece of that action, boss. I'll take that 20-yard interception and see you a 35-yard interception." They go on to win it 29-16. Showdown between Graham fam and Southern on the horizon, as always. Jackson State at Alabama State. Winner of this game still alive in the SWAC East along with Alcorn. Loser out of here. Tigers bite first. Ryan Thayard standing in the right place at the right time. The ball lands in his lap. He takes it to the yard. 10-zip Jackson State. Second quarter. Keyshawn Harper running the wheel route, we'll call it. He gets the pass from Jared Hayes, and that's a touchdown. 17-0 Jackson State. It was never close. Sorry about that. Jackson State wins it 20-2. The Soul Bowl next weekend decides the East. Jackson State versus Alcorn. The SIAC and CIAA announced their postseason awards on Friday. For complete details like who made first team, second team, third team, you want to tell your mama and them, just go to hbcugameday.com. We'll have all of that info for you. But for right now, we will tell you Player of the Year overall in the SIAC was Ahmad Doremus, who started the year as a backup quarterback for Tuskegee. Offensive Player of the Year, Santo Dunn from Morehouse, Austin Stevens from Miles, Defensive Player of the Year in the SIAC, and Rich Freeman from Morehouse. He is your Coach of the Year. Let's switch to the CIAA. Who else won Offensive Player of the Year? Like, for real. Amir Hall, of course. Devon Hunt from Shaw, he was voted best on defense. Fayetteville State's Richard Hayes, Coach of the Year in the CIAA. Now, we're winding down our Band of the Week honors for 2018, but a big shout out to the Purple Marching Machine at Miles College for representing as last week's Band of the Week. Our guy Willie Snipes Jr. has that brass band kicking butt and taking names down in Alabama. We'll have a new Band of the Week for you that will be released this week on our Facebook page. So if you're not following us there, what are you doing? Get over there. Got a lot of good stuff. We'll let you know about that later this week. If you haven't seen your school's score just yet, hold tight. Hold on. We'll get that in just a second. But first, our Play of the Week, brought to you by Subject to Change.
This week's HBCU Game Day Subject to Change Play of the Week. Tobias Taylor showing off the hops, the bunnies, the vertical, whatever you call jumping really high over another human being, he did that. An amazing hurdle for the Virginia Union running back. HBCU Game Day Play of the Week, sponsored by Subject to Change for all your custom apparel and promotional product needs. Follow them on social media at S2CLLC and online at www.shops2c.com. Proud supporters of HBCU athletics.
Okay, everybody, hold on. Here are your scores for Saturday, November 10th. Grambling on the road gets the win over Alabama A&M 29-16. Hampton down in the Delta. They come away with the victory 54-39 over Valley. Your CIAA champions, Bowie State University. They get a big win in Salem, Virginia on Saturday over Fayetteville State. 30-10. Their season will continue. They should be headed to the NCAA playoffs. We'll find out exactly where on Sunday. Morgan State pitches a shutout against Delaware State. Not baseball, this is football, folks. Norfolk State eliminates Howard from Celebration Bowl contention. And the Norfolk State offense, behold, they showed up. 29-17, Spartans win. Savannah State falls to North Carolina A&T, their final home game as a competitor in the MEAC. The Aggies still alive for a berth to Atlanta. West Virginia State with the win over West Virginia Wesleyan. Congrats to our guy, Pocket Rocket, Nemo. He used to be a part of the game day staff, now a part of the coaching staff, taking that offensive mastermind of his to West Virginia. They get the dub. Virginia Lynchburg, they stay alive with playoff hopes in their division. They get the win over Allen, 47-21. This game between Alabama State and Jackson State didn't quite live up to the hype, but there was a lot on the line. The winner of this game remains alive for a chance to win the SWAC East. Alabama State now eliminated from that. Jackson State takes on Alcorn next weekend. The winner of that game wins the SWAC East and goes on to the SWAC Championship. Langston, they are your SAC champions. They get the win over Panhandle State, 33-9. Let's stay in that area of the country. Texas College just barely gets by Lyon College, 38-37. In the SIAC, your champions, Miles College. How about those Golden Bears? They started the season 0-5. They finished the season winning 5 of their last 6, including the big championship game that they got to host. 50-23. Wasn't even close. Who would have predicted that? In the MEAC, South Carolina State gets the win over FAMU, but it's kind of like it doesn't really count because it doesn't really count. It's one of those games in the MEAC that doesn't count against the conference record, which means next week's game against Bethune-Cookman will decide who goes to Atlanta. Will be interesting in the MEAC. Southern defends the bluff over UAPB 56-24. Edward Waters falls to Weber International 37-19. Jacksonville State wins the OVC championship with a big win over Big Blue, 41-14. And only one Lincoln playing this week, Lincoln of Missouri, and they fall to McKendree, 50-32. And those are your scores from Saturday, November 10th on HBCU Game Day. Well, that's it. We're done, son. Congrats to the SIAC on an entertaining season. Good luck to Bowie State. And now we can focus our attention on the MEAC and the SWAC. Who's going to bring the drama? Well, make sure you stay tuned to next week's No Huddle to find out all about it, man. The Florida Classic over here, the Aggie Eagle over here. Who's going to make it in? Over in the SWAC. Oh, it's going to be good, man. For the entire crew, I'm Tolly Carr. Don't forget, podcasts coming your way on Wednesday. Our Roku and Fire TV apps available on those respective platforms all day, every day for free 99. Can't beat that. So make sure you download those apps and keep hanging with us at hbcugameday.com.